Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Newsnownation, for in-depth interviews and press the bell icon so you do not miss any of our updates.
Hi everyone, welcome you to Newsnownation. We are joined today by our esteemed guest, Mr. Dhawan, who is the founder and director of Corefield Technologies. He is a strategic business planner and entrepreneur with decades of domain-rich experience in the field, service management, staffing, facility services, fintech, postal, etc. He founded his company quite some time ago in Gurgaon, and his company is an advanced provider of specialized management software for the field services industry to track the operations of their company. We are launching Corefield Technologies Day for Mr. Dhawan and his company. We welcome you, sir.
Hi, Ria. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I'm very delighted to get the chance to speak on your platform.
Great. So we will begin by knowing a little bit about your company and how it came into existence and what was the idea behind it.
Okay. So Corefield Technologies, as the name is, it's core and field, and that's because everything we do at the heart of that is what is the people who work in the field. My inspiration came from my journey of leading very large businesses, which involved lots of field workers all over across my sort of nearly 25, 28-year career. I've been involved with blue collar and gray collar workers who are out there in the field, providing us with services which make our life easier and safer. Because of that, I wanted to do something more to sort of make their workflow and how they work and what they do more effective and more streamlined and more organized. And that was the genesis behind the idea of creating a company called Corefield. And what Corefield does and has been doing for some time, we launched, of course, in 2016. We'll be 5 years old today, which is the 4th of September. And over this time, we have created quite a few products which are all designed to do the one thing, which is to make life easier for the workers out in the field and for those and the people who manage those workers or the customers of those workers, right? One of our sort of flagship products is something called FieldWeb. FieldWeb is a mobile application, both on Android and iOS. And FieldWeb is actually designed for Bharat. And what it does is it takes the small local service agency owner and it gives this agency owner a very simple application to help him manage his field service workers. So as you can see throughout our existence, we have done products around this. And of course, FieldWeb is part of India's digital revolution, which is digitizing previously manually done tasks. So,
Right.
and we have lots of hopes for this product.
Right. It sounds like something very new and innovative. People don't really know about such kind of things right now. And so what is the idea behind launching this Corefield Technologies Day? Like, what are you trying to do?
Yeah, and so what we were having this brainstorming session about what it means to be a field worker in India today. And so there's, of course, lots of stuff in the news, in the press, and about how we have lakhs of field workers doing things which were previously unimaginable in India, or indeed in the world, but particularly in India. And today, what happens, Ria, is that everything that we do, every part of our life is touched by what we call the gig economy workers. And the gig economy is just a new word or a new phrase that is being used. It's always existed, except that it wasn't very organized, right? So because we've always had people who were delivering us, the classical postman, right? So this is the most obvious delivery example. Then the courier guy, and then we move on from that to the people who are delivering us food from the various food delivery aggregators, and then of course all the e-commerce delivery people. So delivery and field workers is one aspect. So field workers do delivery. Another aspect of field workers is people who perform tasks. So people who come to your home and my home and repair things or install things. People who go to shops and take orders. People who go to office, work sites and do any range of work, which could be electrical contracting or interior management or decoration or design, to more field workers which help us recover our vehicle if it breaks down on the highway or the road, to other field workers which are the people who help us organize events. We've all been to events, right? We've all been to the weddings
Right.
and the sort of receptions, and we have so field workers in India, and in fact in any economy, but particularly in India, they are the sort of the essential ingredient which keeps our economy working and running. And it occurred to us that these field workers are so crucial to us, but we felt there was a gap, that these field workers and their contribution needed or deserved a special day to recognize their contribution. And what better opportunity than for us to dedicate ourselves to this this part of our workforce. And this is a very large part of our workforce. India has about, out of a population of 130 crores, there are roughly about 50 crore workers. Of this 50 crore, somewhere between 13 to 15 crores are field service workers, right? So this is a huge part of our economy. It is really, without this, can you imagine if you could not get a Zomato delivery, or you could not get your air conditioner fixed or your RO fixed or whatever? So we often overlook it. So we said, no, what we're going to do is take this opportunity to recognize the contribution and recognize the sort of indispensable and this unheard and the background silent contribution of this part of India's workforce, and give it the recognition. At least that's our effort to try. So it's a start by dedicating ourselves to and creating the National Field Worker Day. This is a start of that journey. And we hope that with the help and participation of platforms like yours and others like you, we will get more traction and people will recognize that field workers are truly the beating heart of any economy, and they deserve the recognition. And also, I think it is not just about the recognition. Also, as time goes on, we want to do things to improve how field workers, A, are perceived, B, how they're rewarded, and how they earn and make a good living, C, how efficient they can be so that they can do more things and therefore make a better life for themselves and their families. So this is a long-term journey. It's not a journey of 1 minute or 1 day. It's a journey. And I hope that we'll have lots of sort of people coming together in our endeavor to make this a significant event in the India sort of events calendar, if you like.
Right. I think it's something that something unique that you're trying to do, and to kind of bring it to like a world calendar sort of a thing. So, and now that you mention it, actually, we cannot really live without these field workers. They come to a house and every day, it might be for a repair or like, and like how you mentioned, like for weddings, reception, everything. You need them. You might be the best decorator, but you cannot work without your team of field workers. That's absolutely wonderful. So tell us a little bit about your background, and how did you, have you always been into tech, and how did you even come to think of something so innovative?
Yeah. So I'm from Allahabad in India, now called Prayagraj, of course. And so even as I was growing up, I had the sort of sense that we were surrounded by people who were helping make our lives easier, right? So we have, the classical, the gardener who makes your garden look nicer, or the person who helps keep your house clean or whatever. And so as I grew up, I studied and I went abroad, and I saw how the contribution of workers who were doing largely manual work, not necessarily. So they were not part of the knowledge economy. But they were part of the sort of the manual economy, if you like. I realized how in other parts of the world the contribution of these workers was recognized better, how they were organized better, how they were rewarded and paid better, and how the work ethic that they had, how they worked, and the recognition of their work was so much better in other parts of the world. And then events and fate gave me the opportunity to come back to India and lead some very large businesses employing 150,000 people. And it occurred to me that in India we don't recognize enough. We tend to overlook, and so the person who makes our life easier tends to fade into the background, right? So how often when I first came to India, this was really quite obvious to me that you're in a meeting and somebody comes and serves you a cup of coffee, right? And in the West, if that would happen, you'd always say thank you. But in India, you just sort of, it is unremarkable, right, Ria? We don't do that. And
it's
so
almost like, it's their duty to do it.
Yeah, of course. And they are doing their job. And I think, so dignity of labor and recognition of that person's contribution to making your task, life, or environment easier is something that I felt was lacking in India. And I have tried across my career to always recognize that and always sort of encourage my colleagues, team workers, and the businesses that I've led, that we must recognize dignity of labor. Everybody contributes. Doesn't matter whether they're just doing a simple janitorial task to a more complicated, imagine running a big piece of machinery at a construction site. This is, these are really, all of them are crucial jobs, but they're all field workers. So at some point about 6 years ago, when I got the opportunity to see, could I take the sort of underway digital and technological revolution in India, powered by, of course, by mobile internet penetration, and of course the growth of the profusion of cheap data in India on the back of the mobile revolution. I sort of was looking for an opportunity to add the two things together. How can I create a platform or a product which allows the field worker to perform better, which means that he or she gets more opportunity to do tasks in their given time, which translates into better earning, and also do it more productively in a more streamlined way. So I was trying to sort of fuse the two things of using technology to give this part of the workforce a way of working in a better way. So that was the sort of the thinking behind it. And of course, no journey is as simple as it sounds when you're recounting it. This trial and error, and you do this and you do that. And in today's world, we call it pivot. In the olden days, we used to say, we tried this, that didn't work, we'll try something else. Okay, that's what happened. So that's how, after a long time, we hit upon this application called FieldWeb. And I'm glad to say that, with everybody's help, our team, and of course, sort of the infrastructure that is coming up in India, we're growing really quickly. So that's how it happened. Yeah.
That's great. So do we have like a lot of companies doing the same, or like you were the first one to kind of enter this industry?
Well, yes and no. There are companies in India and internationally who create similar digital platforms to help with primarily with field sales workers, because I think sales workers got digitized faster because, of course, it's connected with revenue for most employers. Service came later. So we are focusing on field service workers, not field sales workers. And there is, of course, a difference between the two. And when it comes to field service workers in India, there are some companies who are very large companies who provide digital application for other large companies, right? There is nobody who is by design, by our sort of consciously trying to help the lakhs and lakhs of small Indian businesses who are, yes, technically they are businesses, but they're very similar to, so we call them B to small b, because they are very small businesses. And so our effort is to help these small businesses in India who employ field service workers to make their life more efficient and productive, right? And help them sort of get more business and save on costs and so on and so forth. And so to that extent, Ria, we are unique in our positioning. We are very cheap in terms of what the price we charge. It's really easy. It's like downloading the Ola or the Uber app and booking a taxi and doing something. It really is that easy. So to that extent, we are, I think, fairly uniquely positioned. I am no doubt that over time there'll be people who sort of, and I think we'll take it as a compliment when people try and copy us and and do the same thing. That's okay, because to be honest, this is such a huge market and it's such a big opportunity. Alone, we could not do it. But we'd like to sort of believe that we have pioneered this, and we'll see whether the future proves me right or not. Yeah.
I think when people tend to copy you, that means you're doing something right? I mean, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
That's a good way of, taking it rather than the negative way.
Yeah. It's a compliment. Yeah, exactly. So
definitely.
Yeah.
So just coming towards the end, any message that you would like to give to the viewers, or about launching your International Field Workers Day?
I suppose the only thing I want to say is that all of us should sort of take 20 seconds and stop and think about how would your day be and how would your life work if it wasn't for the contribution of field service workers. And I think it is not too much to ask that we take, out of all of us have very busy lives. We take a couple of minutes to say, yes, thank you for your work. Thank you for your contribution. It doesn't take too much for the guy who comes to fix your RO machine or your washing machine to say, hey, are you okay? Do you need a glass of water? It's really, we are a hot country. Is there something I can do? These are just small things that we can do to make the life of field workers more pleasant. Just say thank you for the work that they've done. And of course, I understand not everybody is going to be able to make a piece of technology to make their life easier or better. But in our behaviors, we can do that. So that would be my message. Let's sort of celebrate this day. Let's recognize the contribution of field workers. And I guess finally, thank you to Newsnownation for helping us spread the word and spread the awareness of this. I'm very grateful for that. And let's hope that, next year you'll call us back to say, how did it go and what have we done in the last 12 months?
Definitely. I mean, we're almost trying to implement something new. So thank you, Mr. Dhawan. It was really nice interacting with you. I myself personally will make an effort now to, say a little thank you to every field worker who comes to, visit us, because I don't think saying a thank you takes a big deal out of anyone, right? So I wish you and your company a big congratulations for, actually trying to introduce a whole day to field workers. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ria.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Newsnownation, for in-depth interviews and press the bell icon so you do not miss any of our updates.